Hey folks, Nation here with you today. How's everybody doing? We have a banging video today from Auditing Reno 911. He's a newer guy on the scene, I think over the past year. A lot of folks have been emailing me, directing my attention to his channel, and I've been watching his stuff. He's doing a really good job. This video that we're going to watch here today is a temporary restraining order hearing, and he just demolishes the cop, and I'll let you wait to watch the video to make your own decisions and see what the outcome is at the end. But in my opinion, he demolishes the cop's story, demolishes the cop's reasoning for wanting the restraining order in the first place. Gentleman's well articulated. He seems to be up in the research area as far as the laws pertaining to his activities. So I'd like to first and foremost welcome Auditing Reno 911 to the auditing community, and I'd like to congratulate him on doing a great job here. He's got about 10,000 subscribers. So for those of you folks that are watching, please think about going over and subscribing to him. Again, letting him know that we appreciate his activism in that area that he's in. We need auditors in every area, right? We need auditors in every major city in the United States. So when I see auditing channels pop up like this in areas that aren't already being covered, it's nice. It lets me know that other people are out there that care about what we've been doing all these years, and that they've decided, hey, I've seen enough Rogue Nation videos. Let me go out there and see what my government's up to now, and then posting that online for me to see. So thanks again to Auditing Reno 911. Go over, give them a shout, let them know the Major sent you and that we appreciate them. And enjoy the video, guys. Thanks.
Hey there, Drew with Auditing Reno 911. Thanks for watching the channel. For those of you that haven't watched me before, I go out and find out what government's doing, record them, and put them all on YouTube for us to judge what the government's doing. Anyways, this is a follow-up to my arrest and hotbox torture by Carson City Sheriff's Deputy Jason, as I call him, No Bueno. So Jason Bueno is his name. Works for the Carson City Sheriff's Office. And he's a little bit afraid of me because I post videos online. And he doesn't like the things that I post because people make phone calls and threaten him. So please don't make phone calls. Please don't threaten people. If you're going to petition the government, do it through the proper channels. Anyways, because he's been threatened, he decided he was going to go to the courts and ask for a restraining order against me. Now, I never, ever, ever threatened this man. The only thing I've ever done is made statements about what happened to me under his custody and the fact that he illegally arrested me for recording in public. Anyways, here's the hearing for the restraining order. It's been waiting a day or so. And at the ending, you're going to have to wait for me. This is why I didn't tell everybody what happened the other day, because I didn't know what happened either. But I found out today when I picked up the DVD with the hearing on it, because at the end you'll find that the judge does not issue a decision. He made me wait a day or so. So anyways, I will tell you at the very end what the result was from his judgment. And you can all decide what you think. Put the comments out there, give it the thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. I got a lot more stuff coming up. DMV's on my next target. Had a little phone call with a lieutenant from the Nevada Highway Patrol, if you watched my video the other day, about DMV creating new rules and laws, and now lien sales are not necessarily complete until they figured out what made up rules they've got. Anyways, I'll have a continuing saga on that, and obviously the Bueno story will continue. So here you go. Here's the judge in the courtroom and me and the Bueno all saying our piece. And I'll see you at the end of this and tell you what the result was.
All right, the next case is case number 24, PO for Protective Order 23. Jason Jeffrey Bueno versus Drew Rebar. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And this is a request for a protective order, as I said. I also received from Mr. Rebar a responsive pleading, and we made sure a copy got to Mr. Bueno, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. With respect to this hearing, I'll hear from both parties. And Mr. Rebar, do you have anybody other than yourself expected to testify today?
Not at this, no, Your Honor.
Okay. And Mr. Bueno, do you have anybody in addition to yourself expected to testify today?
No, sir.
Okay. So then I'm going to have the two of you raise your right hand and be sworn. You don't have to stand up, but that's okay. You both solemnly swear that the testimony today will be the truth, and so help you God.
So help me God.
All right. Thank you. Have a seat. This is a request for a restraining order by Mr. Bueno, so I'm going to ask you first. Can I call you Mr. Bueno or Officer Bueno?
Whatever you prefer, sir.
Okay. I'll ask Mr. Bueno to tell me why you think it's necessary for me to sign a protective order in this case.
Thank you, sir. On August 30th of 2022, I responded to a call for service at the Northern Nevada Correctional Center at the request of the warden and staff. During the course of that investigation, Mr. Rebar was arrested. That arrest was reviewed for probable cause by Justice Court judges, and Mr. Rebar pled no contest on 6/20 of 23. The deal being for Mr. Rebar to not enter the prison complex for a period of 6 months, at which time they would agree to a deal and dismiss the case against him because it wasn't a violent.
So that was the term of the plea negotiation?
Yes, sir. I do have a video, a record of that, as well as my understanding that the clerk can reference those videos if you need them, sir. Specifically on 6/20 of 23, when Mr. Rebar pled no contest without duress to these charges.
Okay.
Since that time, Mr. Rebar has filed multiple false complaints against myself. Specifically, and prior to the no contest pleading, he made a complaint to the sheriff's office that he was tortured during this arrest. That investigation concluded that there was no such evidence and no such torture, period. And Mr. Rebar was adequately notified of that. Since the time that the charges were dismissed, Mr. Rebar has continued to fabricate that this was a false arrest. The court is very well aware of the no contest pleadings and how that works. But since then, he has gone online to no less than 10 different YouTube videos as well as on social media, and has deliberately lied and defamed and edited videos that he has posted, claiming that he was tortured, which was fully investigated, and claiming that he was falsely arrested, which is not true under his no contest pleading and record with the court. The videos that he has continued to post, he's cut off deliberate things that would go against the narrative that he's trying to prove, i.e. body camera footage from myself that showed all the air conditioning fully on and in the low setting. He has cut those off, and he deliberately distorts the facts in order to drum up financial and social support for himself and his cause. Since that time, false statements that he continues to make, I don't care about his personal vile comments towards myself, but this has turned into a frenzy that has endangered my 9 and 11-year-old children.
Take your time.
I've received multiple phone calls from individuals stating that they know my children's names, where they go to school, and where we live. Mr. Rebar continues with these untrue statements that have endangered my family. My family has been called as well, and also threatened. I'm receiving multiple threats, sometimes daily, to my personal cell, to my work, to my supervisors, on social media platforms, as a response of Mr. Rebar's campaign. I have all the dates and times of when Mr. Rebar was arraigned, when he pled guilty, all the video, including the body camera video that I had on during the entire time. I showed his window down during the first 16 minutes that he was in the vehicle, as well as the air conditioning being fully on during the roughly 12-minute transport to the sheriff's office. Mr. Rebar made no complaint to me, period, of ever being hot or uncomfortable in the vehicle. Despite these facts that are clearly recorded on video, my family is in danger. I've had to take multiple steps with their school, with protecting my residents, to protect my young children. Despite this, Mr. Rebar, and based on his statements, misleading, the comments continue to pour in via his channel and unchecked. And I'm asking the court today, based on the facts of this case that are well documented, to please help protect my children.
And what you're saying, these are all a result of the general comments Mr. Rebar is making about the incident that are false?
Yes, sir. Deliberate defamation, despite the facts that he's been presented, the complete distortion of every aspect of this case, deliberately and knowingly defaming me, which is not First Amendment covered, I'll refer to NRS, NRS 200-575 of stalking, as well as the addition of aggravated stalking by the use of internet networking sites, electronic mail, text messaging, and any other similar means of communication to publicly display or distribute information in a manner that subsequently increases the risk of harm or violence to the victim, which is a Category C felony. I've been in contact with my attorneys, and it's very clear that until I take the steps to protect my family, they're going to continue to be endangered by Mr. Rebar's lies and defamation.
Has Mr. Rebar spoken to you directly?
We have an exchange briefly at the sheriff's office when he was trying to film not too long ago, but I haven't had any other direct contact with him. He just chooses his platform.
So I think in your application you talk about a couple of telephone calls to yourself and to your mother-in-law, ex-mother-in-law?
Yes, sir.
And do you maintain that Mr. Rebar made those calls or somebody else, or do you know?
I don't think it was Mr. Rebar. I think it was in line with his commentary on social media and YouTube platforms that has clearly released my information, encouraged people to contact me, and by him deliberately distorting and lying about every aspect of this case, those comments and those people that follow him have a very vile and vicious way of trying to attack without even knowing the facts themselves. And again, Mr. Rebar is fully aware of every fact of this case and yet continues to deliberately distort them to fit his narrative.
So Mr. Rebar himself has never, or has he threatened your children?
No, sir, not that I'm aware of. However, I do need to add a caveat that I have not gone through. My attorneys certainly will go through the thousands of comments that are on his pages to certainly ensure that that is fact that I'm telling you now. Again, referring back to specifically issues that I have of stalking, and if I could read the definition of a person who without lawful authority willfully or maliciously engages in a course of conduct directed towards a victim that would cause a reasonable person under similar circumstances to feel terrorized, frightened, intimidated, harassed, or fearful for his or her immediate safety or the immediate safety of a family member or household member, and that actually causes the victim to feel terrorized, frightened, intimidated, harassed, or fearful for his or her immediate safety or the immediate safety of a family or household member, commits the crime of stalking. It's very clear that this situation, deliberately orchestrated by Mr. Rebar, has gone beyond any official capacity that I have as a deputy sheriff, and has clearly threatened my family. And I'm simply asking the court to help protect my family.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bueno. Mr. Rebar, your comments. Why don't you think I should issue this restraining order?
My actions don't meet the black and the white of the statutes. My actions are protected under Article 1, Section 9 of the Nevada Constitution. My actions are protected under the First Amendment of the United States of America. My actions are only capturing images and disseminating them to the public. There have been several accusations made against me here that are just in fact untruthful. The only thing that I'm out there doing, Your Honor, is I believe we have a corrupt government. I'm a businessman, as my response says. I didn't want to get off my butt and stop running my business. I'm just out there now watching our government, like our government's watched my business for the last 20 years or so, and they come in every couple of years with their men, with their badges, and with their guns, and they go through my papers, and they examine my business, and it's a biannual audit, Your Honor. And if they find something wrong, several years ago, one of their officers, a guy named BJ, he wrote me a citation based on an assembly bill that hadn't been codified. These are the things that I deal with in our society, in our government. I just posted a video about our DMV yesterday. Our DMV is seizing papers from customers that have bought vehicles and having law enforcement hold them for 8 months while they investigate, and not issuing titles to people and giving people their property, Article 1, Section 1 of the Nevada Constitution. You and I, Deputy Bueno, everybody in this room has a constitutional right to property, yet our DMV is withholding titles for some bogus investigations they're doing. So I got off my butt, stopped running my business the way that I had for decades, picked up my camera, it's not on right now, and I was out on a public roadway, in a public parking lot, at a law enforcement facility, NRS 171-1233, peace officer. A prison, by definition, has peace officers inside. Can't go there and film when the law says you can go film law enforcement activities. The legislature is very specific in their language, and the governor signed it. And then you go out there and you're trying to have a conversation with somebody because you're in their parking lot and walking down a public roadway. And then you're arrested supposedly because you wore a blue shirt and you were trespassed. Now, Deputy Bueno goes into the fact that I entered a plea agreement. Now, I had representation. And what my attorney told me, Mr. Richard Salvatore, and I did talk to him a little bit about this. I spent about 30 minutes on the phone with him. He looked at my response, and he just didn't have enough time to help out. You know how you attorneys are. His schedule was a little bit full, and he thought I could probably do okay. But Deputy Bueno arrives, and within 40 seconds of him opening his door, he had me in handcuffs. How do you do an investigation in 40 seconds? Now, the fact of the case is, yes, I did enter a plea agreement with my attorney's advice, and what my attorney's advice is, dismissed is dismissed is dismissed. However you got to dismissed does not matter. And I said, okay. And he goes, if you want to go to trial with this, probably going to be $20,000 to $30,000. So my decision was, do I give up my rights for 6 months, or do I go out of pocket $20,000 or $30,000 to prove a point that gets the same end result? So my law, and I did put this on the record when I did take the plea agreement. that it was a quid pro quo specifically for this. And then I look at the United States Supreme Court decision under Thompson versus Clark, and I read that. And what that says, if you're not found guilty, it was a malicious prosecution, and you can go under a 1983 lawsuit. If I'm not an attorney, you are, Your Honor. I'm just reading it from a layman's perspective. But when my attorney says dismissed is dismissed is dismissed, and then I go read the Supreme Court decision, and then I ponder $30,000 in fees, well, $30,000, okay. I will stop, and if you look at my videos, and I address this in my response, I stopped publishing for a period of time there. My speech was stifled. I'm not publishing anything that is not out there. I'm not taking anything bad I might have done on there. If you go and you look at my YouTube channel, I submitted that as an exhibit. If you want to get to the process of entering any evidence, we want to go explore that. I open up my entire self when I'm out there talking to people. People can judge me and my actions just as I can judge Deputy Bueno's, or if you're in public or any of us are in a public space, we're there to be judged. We live in a society now where, like the press was many hundreds of years ago, and the church was trying to quash the press. We live in a society now where I'm sure you got one or two of these in your pocket, sir. I'm sure everybody in this room does, and if we see something funny, we probably whip it out and record it. Seems to be how our society is. Or everywhere we go, in this room, how many cameras are there? Throughout the sheriff's office, how many cameras do they have? On our street corners, do we have cameras? We've got cameras everywhere. The government controls most of them. I'm just one guy with one camera. And I publish what I see out there about our government. And I'm critical of our government. I am critical of Deputy Bueno. I believe his actions were incorrect and they were wrong. And I have filed a lawsuit. And I do appreciate our Nevada Supreme Court in their ruling of Mack versus Williams, because that gives me an opportunity to bring it into the state courts. Because what my goal is, go on my channel again and look, my goal is to bring some change to our system. I want an accountable government. I don't see our government as being accountable anymore. When I go through and do some studies and I try to look up oppression under the color of law and how many lawsuits have happened in the state of Nevada, as I mentioned in my response, I've got a LexisNexis subscription. I find very, very, very few oppression under color of law decisions out there. And you ask yourself, why would that be? The government certainly writes a lot of tickets and brings a lot of people in front of you for misactions on their parts. But where do the misactions of government really come back? And I haven't really seen any accountability. And that's what I'm about. This is not about Deputy Bueno in any way personally for me at all. He's a deputy. I don't, his personhood, God bless him on his personal time. God bless him being the best father he can be. But I'm not after anything in his personal world. I've asked the people that watch my stuff to not contact him. I have told them to petition their government for change. And perhaps what he's upset about is they are contacting his work, because that is petitioning the government for change. And if we can't petition our government, if we can't have freedom of press, and we can't speak what we believe is truth and be held accountable, if Deputy Bueno believes my speech is libelous, sue me for libel. Don't try to get a restraining order against me. This is further fear. Deputy Bueno in the first hearing the other day even insinuated that there were criminal charges both both for misdemeanors and the greater crimes. He said that they're going to charge me for something else. I don't know what I'm doing that's wrong other than highlighting the government, showing what's going on, telling a story to the public for them to disseminate and hopefully vote about and make change to our system. This is America. This is what this is about. It's not shutting me down. Why does he get to he shut me down when I was filming once already, and then he did torture and hotbox me. If you look at the video, it's clear. That's why the people are mad, because my face before he put me in and my face when he brought me out in the booking room, and I was very clear with him in the booking room, I said, you hotboxed me. He took his camera off, faced it at me, and I clearly remember, you hotboxed me. I might have not have told him when he was torturing me. Maybe I should have, maybe I shouldn't have. I don't know. I can be prideful sometimes. Maybe I should have just caved in and said, stop torturing me. But sometimes when it's happening, you're not really aware of it. I mean, I was just slowly heating up is what happened. And like I said, go look at the video. Go look at the sweat dripping off my face. Sweat dribbled right here. He even commented on how wet I was. It's all in the video. He says that there are video cameras of him opening vents and the air conditioning was on low. His testimony was low air conditioning. 95, have you ever been back in one of those cages? Rhetorical question, I don't expect you to answer, Your Honor. I'm a 55-year-old man now. What was I, 53 when this happened, roughly, or 54, somewhere in there. I've never been arrested. I've never been in handcuffs in my life. I've always towed the line. I think my record might have a couple speeding tickets on it if you go back through the decades. I've tried to be a good citizen. I participate in our community. I don't know what I'm doing wrong or how I've threatened this man in the ways that the law says that he's accusing me of. I'm a black and white human being. Gray is very hard for me. I deny every allegation that he's got against me, and I think that this is truly harassment. And I understand this is a unique slapback that I've done here, that it's not generally done this way. But again, as I spoke to my attorney, Rich Salvatore, yesterday, he goes, I've done a lot of these and it meets the definitions. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Mr. Rebar. And I'll let you rebut if you want to.
Yes, sir. It's very clear that Mr. Rebar has a case, a personal vendetta that he is out. His YouTube page is full of verbal altercations with anybody that he can strike up. On September 28th of 2022, he went to the prison to demand some type of paperwork, at which point he filed a false report of battery against the deputy director, which was investigated.
Objection. There's a lawsuit.
Excuse me.
What's the basis of your
Anything that you had
objection?
to say?
There's currently a lawsuit against Deputy Quenga.
Just a second.
There's currently a lawsuit against Deputy Quenga. I did not drop it.
All right.
There's a lawsuit upstairs against him. Mack versus Williams, sir.
All right. I'm not going to rule either way on your objection, because it is argument that he made, and I take it that way, as opposed to the direct evidence. Go ahead.
Sir, my point being that Mr. Rebar has a history of false allegations against public officials. Just a few minutes ago, he stated that he was on a public roadway. I have the video of his pleading no contest, at which point his attorney makes comment that Mr. Rebar didn't know it was not a public roadway and it was a controlled access. So Mr. Rebar continues with this narrative in his mind of what he believes is the absolute truth. Low temperature means that the temperature was on low. You can clearly hear all the fans going. There was no manipulation of anything. Mr. Rebar deliberately cut that out of his video so nobody can see that the temperature was on low for him in the vehicle. But he continues to fabricate these lies. And I guess it's my understanding that he's admitting to perjury if now that he's saying that his pleading of no contest was under some type of duress. Attorneys and the judge makes it very clear of knowing what entering into this plea means and gives him the opportunity to dispute that, not go on an anti-government rant, because his intention today, if this order is not granted, is to post all the content to his page with his narrative of corrupt government. That has nothing to do with the case of my children being threatened because of his defamation. And I would refer back again to a libel is a gross misdemeanor. A libel is a malicious defamation expressed by printing, writing, signs, pictures, or the like, tending to blacken the memory of the dead, or to impeach the honesty, integrity, virtue, or reputation, or to publish the natural defects of a living person or persons or community of persons, or association of persons, and thereby to expose them to public hatred, contempt, or ridicule. Every person, whether the writer or the publisher convicted of this offense, is guilty of a gross misdemeanor. I could sit here all day long, Your Honor, and grandstand of the fact that I've been a United States Marine and sworn oath to the Constitution, a law enforcement officer over 18 years. That has nothing to do with this case. What has everything to do with this case is that there's factual evidence that Mr. Rebar was not tortured, he was not falsely arrested, but his deliberate false narrative, equaling to defamation, which will be handled in other court avenues, of course, is whipping these people up into a frenzy that haven't even heard any of the evidence at all, and that's publicly contacting me, privately contacting me, and threatening my children. As I said in the beginning, if you want to call me every name in the book, I'm a grown man, I can do that. But when it comes to crossing the line, Mr. Rebar should be held accountable for his deliberate misrepresentation, though there are clear facts. If Your Honor would like to see, I have in my pocket the flash drive of all my body cam footage of all the pleadings that Mr. Rebar did in court, fully unedited. It also shows the camera in the back seat of the vehicle, fully showing him the entire time he was back there, windows down, air conditioning fully on. I have nothing to hide. Unfortunately, Mr. Rebar's goal is to try this in the course of public opinion to fit his social gain. I would love to be able to present all the facts in this hearing to actually prove that his deliberate lies are endangering my young children.
Thank you. And what I'm going to do is, well, first of all, your counterclaim, this is pretty low court. It exceeds our jurisdiction here. And so you're going to have to take that up as some other forum. And you said you had filed a complaint or a civil complaint in this matter?
Yes.
You're in the process of it or something?
If you look in the first response from last week, you'll see a copy of the complaint, and it's upstairs.
Okay. All right. And that was my recollection also. But I'm going to make a decision on this, and I'm going to send it out to you both. I'm going to take it under submission because I want to look at some things before I do make a decision. It's a unique case in that it's not directed at a specific person who made specific statements that endangered your family. It's statements by somebody that would cause somebody else to make a statement.
Yes, sir.
So it's a little unusual in that facet of it. But I'll make a decision. If I do grant the restraining order, protective order, it will be in effect for 45 days. At the end of that 45 days, you'll be subject to another hearing on whether it should be extended or not. If it's not extended, that'll be the end of it. If I don't grant the protective order, I always tell people not to take that to heart. In other words, that process is still available to both of you if further facts come to evidence or there are further occasions where you feel threatened. You can always go back and file another protective order. And so I just want to make sure you understand that. And that goes, frankly, if this thing ends after 45 days, you could still, if there were actions after that, file another request or a new request for a protective order. So keep that in mind also. I'll make a decision on this. I appreciate the comments that both of you have made. They've helped me in this matter understand what's going on, and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And we'll be in recess on this case.
I guess, I'm sorry, sir, just to clarify, we're done for today?
Yes,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I've got another case, so you two are done.
Appreciate it.
thanks for watching that. I appreciate it. So the end result. Let's just cut to the chase. Deputy Bueno did not get a restraining order against me. It was denied. Sir, I know, I mean, you know, ill will, but you cost me a bunch of money and a bunch of time to deal with your bullshit. It was just straight up a waste of time. If you're mad at somebody for threatening you, you go after the person that threatens you, not the person that put out the story of what your actions were on your job at work in public. Sir, we're not done with this one yet. I'm going to send you a little letter, and hopefully we'll be able to resolve the differences. We do have another court date with regards to the arrest and the hotboxing. Hopefully you've been served by this time, and we can move forward and get some representation on that, and we can get answers from the court as to if you did or if you did not hotbox me. We will get an answer from the court on that one. Anyways, I appreciate the watches, the views. Like, subscribe, hit the little dinger bell, share this thing around. Most of all, let me know what you think. I appreciate it. Talk to you later.